Hello everyone. Hi friends. There are so many lovely humans in here today already. Thank you so much for coming to hang out with us today on the It Gets Better page. Let me go ahead and say hello to everyone in chat as we get started for the day. If my PC will. She's being a little feisty. We'll tell her to behave, everybody. Send good PC vibes. But there we go. Milam, hello. Atmos, hello. Allison, hello. Cole and Toasty, thank you so much for being here to mod today, friends. I appreciate you. Toasty, thank you for the early happy birthday. Yes, my birthday is on Friday, so when I was scheduling all my little It Gets Better streams, I was like, I gotta go hang out with the It Gets Better folks on my birthday week. So it's not quite my birthday, but thank you for all of the early birthday wishes. I appreciate it. And Shania, who else did I miss? I hope I didn't miss anyone. Hi Fee, hi Annika, thank you so much. A little tussle with love. Hi Lilith and Lorf, hello. Thank you so much, friends. Now we have Donuts Cam today, but as I've said many times, Donuts is a 15-year-old grandpa, so he does what he wants, and so far today he's in a very hidey mood. I went looking for him before stream to see what he was up to, and he was hiding under the bed, so we'll see if he gets in the mood to show his face today or not. But if not, that will be all right. It's a dress. It's finally warm enough in Chicago for me to wear little dresses. It's very nice. It's actually very hot today though. It's almost too hot. But I can't complain too much because I've been complaining that it's cold, so I think it would be a little bit hypocritical of me to now complain that it's hot. But we went from cold to hot so fast. My drinks are all drippy now because of the condensation. Because now it's quite warm. It's 75. Oh, the doughboy he's not in his tent, but I see him. Considerations being made potentially for the viewing pleasure. But since I guess I've only been on the channel one time, a lot of familiar lovely faces here today, but if you don't know me, my name is B. I use they them pronouns. I am a queer and disabled variety broadcaster here on Twitch. I work really hard to create sensory friendly soft content. Happy, thank you for the follow. Welcome to the It Gets Better page, friend. Today we are going to be playing some Sims, which, if you don't know how many Simmers Queer Journey includes The Sims, because it's such a self-exploratory game, in my mind, in telling my coming out story on the It Gets Better page, I just simply could not play anything other than The Sims. Like, it just wouldn't make sense. It wouldn't make sense. Too much of my, like, secret queer exploration as a teen came from this exploring in The Sims, so I had to do it. Is that mason jar blue do ooh woo? Maybe. Perhaps, Cole, perhaps it may be. My community thinks it's quite funny that I really like Blue Mountain Dew. 10 out of 10 taste, negative 10 out of 10 good for you. But I didn't put any cans in the fridge, so I had to put it in our mason jar, and they always giggle at me because I drink my mason jar Blue Dew on stream. But yes, it is the mason jar Blue Dew making a comeback even on the It Gets Better page. I absolutely love blue raspberry anything. Absolutely. I need more mason jars to use as cups. So these mason jars came from my partner, Toasty, when they moved in. And I don't think they were originally intended to be cups. They still had, like, the lids on them. Like, I think they planned to use them as mason jars, but I immediately stole them and started using them as cups. Because I love a good mason jar vibe. I'm having a high pain day today, so I'll be a little baby lurker, but I hope your stream is amazing. I'm sorry to hear you're having a high pain day, Annika, but totally understandable. Please take all of the lurky rest that you can. I've never seen the blue raspberry Mountain Dew. I will have to try it if I see it. As Toasty mentioned, it's quite difficult to find these days, I think. Mountain Dew doesn't make as much of it as they used to, but if you do come across it, I would recommend trying. It's very sweet though. If you like things to be like more subtly sweet, then you might not be the biggest fan of this one in particular. But then again, all Mountain Dew is very sweet, so what can I say? I hope you all are having a wonderful Tuesday. A Tuesday, isn't it, love? What are your thoughts on pink Mountain Dew? I don't drink any Mountain Dew except for blue raspberry. I'm a very particular lad in that sense. I mean, I drink regular Mountain Dew before, but I haven't really been a big fan of a lot of the different flavors. Code Red is okay. It's acceptable. I think I like Code Red better than regular Mountain Dew, but nothing compares. There's a spicy Mountain. Oh, should I do some kind of a charity redemption or something with spicy Mountain Dew? I think that would be funny. I think chat would be here for it. Mountain Dew taste test stream. Please. That one is interesting. I've tried it and it tastes. It would be exquisite. I used to love Code Red. I feel like these days it tastes different. Yeah, I believe that. I think the thing was that it was never supposed to be all these flavors were long term. It was supposed to be like a competition thing, and then I think people started drinking the flavors more than they started drinking the regular one, and they were like, oh no, I guess we have to keep them all. Listen, my water's right here. I promise I'll have water too. I swear. I just like my caffeine, you know? I have chronic fatigue, so I've told Toasty this, but I think it's hard for people to understand, is that, like, my energy levels, like, if the average person is, like, here, my energy levels are, like, down here naturally. So just in order to, like, meet the energy levels of people who don't have chronic fatigue, I need a lot of caffeine. Whereas that caffeine intake would normally take people who start here, like, way up here. So I felt like more of a citrus and tahini vibe rather than super spicy. So for me, it wasn't bad, but I know a few people who have said it burns. Interesting. It's Coca-Cola and Dr. Pepper. Toasty's a Coke person for sure. I'm not a Coke person, personally. It's not my vibe. I've only ever had do they have flavored Mountain Dews where you're from, Happy, and you've just never tried them, or do they not have them there as well? Intrigued always. Very intrigued. Anyways, though, I didn't come here today to discuss the intricacies of the Mountain Dew flavors as much as I adore blue Mountain Dew. But I absolutely love it and will continue to sip my blue Mountain Dew in a mason jar throughout our stream today. I'm also fatigued and constantly swear by my need for caffeine, or I am simply not fully functional. Me either. Never seen any other flavors in the UK or Spain. Interesting. I wonder if Mountain Dew only did the flavors in certain countries. Because we have so many flavors here in the US. Like, I constantly feel like new flavors are coming out. Like, I can't keep up with all the new flavors. But I try not to get attached because I also feel like they're constantly sending flavors out that, like, don't get enough traction, basically. You didn't come here to discuss Mountain Dew? Oh, heck. Nar. Oh, yeah, actually, sorry. I forgot to tell you. This is actually my coming out story. It's my coming out as Mountain Dew expert, and we'll be spending the whole stream talking about it. Have you ever tried the orange Mountain Dew Toasty? It's obviously not like orange soda, but you might like it. Fanta Lemon or Fanta Limon. Ooh. It's more popular here in Spain than orange, really. Wow. There's a blue raspberry Fanta as well, actually. I'm pretty sure I've seen that one. Anyways, shall we play some Sims? Shall we vibe? Shall we have some chats? I like the Baja Blast. Baja Blast is pretty good, actually. I do like it as well. I like the slushy version when I go to Taco Bell. Alright, let me go over here. My plan is for us to, I'm gonna work on a new Sim self. I have not, built a Sim self in The Sims in a long time. I think maybe a couple of years. I think my last Sim self was brown haired, so that says something. And chat today. We're focused on this. It's fine, y'all. I don't mind having conversations about whatever y'all are interested in talking about. It is all good. I was able to prep the captions today, so I was able to make them match my little name tag, and I just need you all to know that my type A self, my very organizational brain, enjoys the fact that they look the same. That is all. But yes. This is not. I need to. The branding is chef's kiss. I mean, the branding overall is obviously it gets better stuff, but I was like, let's make these captions look exactly matching to the vibe of the name tag. But yes, before we get into all the soft, vulnerable stuff, I would just like to take a minute to check in and see how everyone's feeling today. How's your Tuesday going? Are you having a good one, a busy one, a stressful one, a sleepy one? What are the vibes for your Tuesday today? Something we do on my channel that I would love to share with you all if you're not familiar with me is we do this thing where I ask everyone, if your day was a color, what color would your day be and why? I think I was originally inspired by the creator Blizz Bear, I think, asked that question once, I want to say, and I really loved the way it made my brain churn in like how it is like a very strange question. All of a sudden my brain was like, what? It was like a fun way to think about, a very visual way, I think, to think about feelings. Now, to no surprise to anyone, I would say today my color is yellow, and if you know me, you know that yellow is like a chef's kiss kind of day, like mwah, absolutely perfect. Or, I mean, I don't know if I believe in perfection, but as good as they come, I think. I only would say that it would be like maybe a little bit of a softer yellow, whereas a golden yellow is like 100% perfect, and I think that's just because it got really warm here really fast, and personally, my little neurodivergent brain does not care for like quite how hot it is. So I'm definitely more of a sweater weather kind of human at the moment, but other than that, I feel quite good. The braids are cute. That was what it was like auto-populated with, but I'm gonna be building my little sim self, so soon the braids will have to disappear. I do have custom content in my game as well for anyone who is a simmer and is like, I've never seen that in my game. It's not you, it's me. My color would be Fanta Orange, feeling bubbly and ready to tussle, though I don't have enough caffeine in my body, so a sleepy tussle. Are you drinking your coffee? Go have your coffee so you can have a non-sleepy tussle. Vibes are good, been really productive, went and did grocery shopping for the whole week, made banana bread, did laundry, and now just playing some Val. Color would be like a sage green. Oh my gosh, Happy, you got so much done today, friend. Holy bananas. I forget time zones are a thing, so it's weird in my brain thinking that you've achieved so much in the day already, and I've only gotten up and streamed, but I still love it. It's a pale yellow day today, feeling hopeful and very excited. Puffs! I love that we have the same color for the day. I really want eyelashes. But I also need glasses, and sometimes in this game, custom content, eyelashes and glasses, they don't get along. They like warp the glasses a little bit, but sometimes it's not too much, so it's like, let's see if we can make it work. Oh, those look like my glasses, and don't mess up the... Oh. Okay. They do a little bit. They do look a little bit weird, but I think it's workable. I think it'll do. I think B wants to grind for Fade on their NA account. True. Mine is the orangey brown of good sweet tea, having sunlight shone through a glass. Oh, that's such a beautiful coal. Now you're having the most like lovely visual description for your day. Tax return for last year has been released, so I should be receiving both last year's taxes and this year's soon, and today I paid off my... Wait, you just graduated and you already paid off your university? That's incredible. I don't think the It Gets Better page has like a exclamation point hype, but if you have hype emotes in the chat, send some hype to Cole for graduating on Saturday and paying off their university on Tuesday. That's wild. Get my transcript sent for a professor position, and as well as just being school debt free. They do have a hype. Let's go. Thank you for sharing. I wasn't sure. That's amazing. We love to see it. it's a beige day, very different emotions and have been felt, but they were all very beige. Oh no, Milam. Honestly, sometimes better than it being really intense, but I get how beige days can be kind of meh as well. Lala, hello, welcome in. Thank you for the follow, friend. Welcome on in. How are you doing today? I thought gay soup would be appropriate for hype. I mean, to be fair, we are on we're streaming on the It Gets Better page, so this is a very queer space, so I feel like gay soup is potentially always appropriate for this, this space. Perhaps. I only owed about 1,000. We are, Kenna. Also, I'm sorry. I think I saw your hello, read it in my head, and didn't say hello back. I'm so sorry. But I asked everybody if their day was a color, what color would their day be, and why. I love yellow, but purple more. Back home, purple and yellow go together like most people. Oh, my face is kind of covering her. I'll try to keep her zoomed out so you can see. Because I live on the border of Minnesota and Wisconsin back home, like where I was raised. And so the Minnesota Vikings are big. And so people like the purple and yellow. I'm not a sports person, but... I only owed about $1,000 total due to my full ride scholarship for my bachelor's and a graduate assistantship for my master's, so I've been feeling very lucky and thankful. That's amazing. I think I would have been in a much better place financially as a person if I hadn't wound up switching majors because I wound up doing education at a very expensive school that I only went to pursue journalism, but unfortunately, I mean, I'm glad I pursued what made me happy, but I could have gotten a significantly less expensive degree for education if I had known before I had gone. But I'm still very grateful because I had a lot of life-changing experiences, and in fact, we're going to talk today about it, but going to college was actually like a huge part of my coming out journey as well, so I don't regret it. What is this outfit she's wearing? Hold on. I don't want, necessarily naked sim vibes on the It Gets Better channel, but I do want something more neutral and less weird than what she's wearing right now for just while we're getting the rest of her ready. Oi, oi, oi. Where's just a t-shirt? Give me yeah, here we go. Just a plain little t-shirt or something that we can put on. Well, here we go. Let's go for a little gay tank top moment. Well, I think could be a bit of a vibe. Imagine if we didn't have loans, we'd be so powerful. Lala says a light rosy pink right now. Sleepy but peaceful. I kind of feel that as well. Sleepy but happy and peaceful. That's very on brand for how I've been feeling. Alright, let's see if there's any hairs that my hair's a mess right now, so I'm not sure. I was joking with my partner. I was like, I feel like I have those bangs that young middle school boys into skating had, where they would go like this all day right now because they're overgrown, and I'm like, they're driving me bonkers. I would say a light green. I'm feeling a little sick and overwhelmed, but it's a really nice day outside and I'm just chilling and playing Pokemon. I'm sorry that things are a little bit overwhelming right now, but I'm very, very happy to hear that you're having a relaxing day. That can help so much. Also, thank you for being here to mod today, Kenna. Very much appreciated. Very on brand. I'm getting roller skates for my birthday. So not the same kind of skater I was thinking, because I was thinking of someone who rides a skateboard, but Nathan's welcome in. Thank you for the follow, friend. My brain wants so badly to say welcome to the hive because I'm so used to saying that over and over again during my streams, but no, welcome to It Gets Better and to this little corner of the internet. Um, it's gonna be interesting seeing if I have even a hairstyle that comes close. I think there is like a mullet hairstyle, so that might be, this might, yeah, actually that's pretty good. I don't have any like multicolor, like I don't have my CC that lets me like change the shade of the green. So just pretend my hair was recently dyed green and not completely faded out. In which case this works pretty good actually. But yes. I'm a little nervous Nelly who doesn't know how to slide into telling you my coming out story right now, so I'm just gonna share my nerves with you and do the thing TM. But I'm here today mostly to tell you, kind of share my queer journey. I know that everyone's journey with coming out is so different, more different than I think people realize when they so should I turn the music down? Is the music too loud? You'll have to let me know. I just saw that graphic that's going around on Twitter about OBS volumes. And I'm like, now I'm not sure if I'm doing it right, you know? Tell us about Young Listen, Toasty. That was gonna be part of the story, actually. That was gonna be part of the story. I turned it down. Let me know if that's better. Hopefully that's a touch better. Hopefully I didn't take it down too far. Alright, let's see. We've got shoulders for days. Also, I feel like my face is like more round. Yeah, maybe. That's good. I think I've read this book before. Perhaps as my partner, you might have read this book before. I think just a time or two, maybe. You had an advanced reader's copy. Y'all are so cute, so precious. Teaser trailers in the chat. Toasty, you're gonna get banned for you can't be giving spoilers. A movie preview. Roll the tapes. So it's interesting, right? Because I think a lot of people's queer narrative that I hear often is this narrative that I always knew I was queer. And even if I didn't come out till I was 20, 30, 40, 50, I always knew that I was queer. I just like wasn't ready to tell people, or I wasn't in a space to tell people. And I think my coming out journey for me personally is a little bit different in that sense, in that I really didn't know. I think maybe like subconsciously, but consciously I definitely didn't have like a conception of like being queer when I was young. At all. It's hard because I played games like The Sims and I played LGBT families, and I think that was the self-exploratory thing happening. I used to remember Toasty was giving us the sneak preview. I'm sure there are other simmers who did this as well, but like my household was not anti-LGBTQ, but I did grow up in rural northern Wisconsin, and so I was like not sure what to expect in response, and nobody in my immediate family was openly queer, so I was like, So I remember playing The Sims, and I remember having like a majority of my families be like lesbian couples. And my mom would like come in the room, and she would come in the room and I'd be like on the couch or something, and I would like put my computer, my like laptop lid down a little bit and be kind of like gremlining, trying to look like I was just trying to be like really comfy, but was like mostly trying to avoid her asking questions because I think I knew at the time like I didn't have the answers. I did do the thing where I was in GSA as an ally but was really queer, so I guess like I kind of was the super good ally vibe. And I had a lot of queer friends who I think had more of an understanding at the time that they were queer than I did. And TW for some of my experiences in my story involving addiction and alcoholism. Just for anybody who that might be a tough subject. I know for me, when other people talk about it, depending on where my headspace is at, it can be a tough subject for me. So I just want to throw that out there, but I think a huge part of the reason that I did not fully understand that I was queer was because my parents were both addicts, and that was a very all-consuming experience. I don't know if anyone else went through anything similar, and can understand what I mean when I just say that, like, it was something that affected me from morning to night, you know. It's not something that I could kind of escape much, because that was my house. That's where you're supposed to go at the end of the night and feel comfortable and safe, and that was not my personal experience. And so I was personally in a place where my vision, like I was in a college prep program in high school, and so my conception was, if I get into college, if I get into a good college, I can get out of the circumstances that I find myself in. Like, that was my only trajectory. I was like, I just don't see any other feasible way that I get out of this situation that I'm in, that I very much do not want to be in anymore, other than this kind of, you know, focus, and this is the way out, right? But like, just like that, Toasty said, like, it took up a lot of mental energy, thinking energy, just trying to exist energy, and there was no time really to think about romance, to think about relationships, to play. Like, I did not do, like, kids are supposed to play and explore and do a lot of self-exploration in high school, but I didn't really have that privilege at the time to do that kind of self-exploration, at least not to the scale that most people were doing it. Ooh, this sweater is a vibe. I have a tank top just like this, and actually a sweater just like this, so I feel like this is perfect. And so I think, like, during those periods of self-exploration, is kind of when, like, a lot of people figure out that they're queer, especially when they're young. And since I didn't really have that, you know, I feel like I never really solidified my queerness in my mind at any point when I was, like, younger. And by younger, I mean, like, when I was a kid, when I was at home. I did figure out that I was queer in college, which I'll talk about, which is still quite young. And there's you know, the cheesy thing to say, but I think it is so important to remember, is that you're never too late to come out as queer, right? But it's I think I had such a defined way to tell you this story, and then now I feel like my brain is like with all of the thoughts that I have, because it's so complicated as to, like, what I think all the little things were that affected the fact that I didn't know. You know, I think that being in rural northern Wisconsin, where nobody talked openly about queerness much, was part of it. You know, I said, like, I was in GSA, but also, like, within that, we didn't, surprisingly, in GSA, we didn't talk a lot about queer stuff. It was kind of just, like, where a bunch of queer kids came together to exist. But there was not so many opportunities to really talk about things. So I don't think I really gained a deeper sense of understanding just by being there, you know? As much as I think I probably should have. I keep wanting to put high-waisted jeans on this sim because they're so cute, but I also don't wear jeans because of chronic pains, so I'm like, it doesn't look right at the same time. Perhaps some leggings is a good potential option. I usually wear like cargo pants and things like that of that nature. I think also identities are so ever evolving in my, like, I'm Mountain Dew or something. Toasty, please. 6 flavors of queer over the past 10 years. True. I am also an ever evolving Mountain Dew flavor as well, actually. Oh, yeah, hooligan. The Batu clothes are so weird. Hi, Epic. My birthday's on Friday, but we're celebrating on the It Gets Better channel today, so thank you for the early birthday celebration. I appreciate you. I saw my opportunity and I took it. Oi, what am I gonna do with you? These are kind of like a pair of pants I own, but something like this perhaps. I think being asexual also played a big part of it because I wasn't experiencing like sexual attraction either and didn't understand that as well. So I think for anyone who's ace can understand that, like, the traditional narratives of kind of figuring out your queerness can be centered a lot in romantic and sexual attraction. And when I was feeling a lot of platonic, what I would call queer platonic attraction to people, but I didn't understand those differences back then, so I just felt very confused. Thank you, Kenna. Thank you. That's so sweet. So I think I was also confused by the different forms of attraction and what I was feeling in that regard as well, so that definitely complicated things. And so I had like these hindsight things that I can see, but at the time I didn't know. Until I became like in college. I think my first year of college was spent very much acclimating because I had run for the hills. You know, I just explained to you all like kind of my living situation with my parents, and so when I got the opportunity to leave and go far from home, I took that opportunity and I really ran with it because I wanted that space. Oh, these shorts are super cute, but they're like clipping with the sweater, but maybe I just like don't care. I don't want to get rid of my tum-tum though, which sometimes is how you get clipping to stop because The Sims isn't very good at for making clothes that work for plus size players. So my first year was spent very much just like acclimating to New York because I essentially had my parents drive me to college, drop me off in a state where I knew nobody, and I was like, well, I guess I'll figure it out. I guess I will figure this out on my own was basically the vibe. So I knew nobody. I was a first-gen college student, so I knew nothing about college either. And so I just like had no mental capacity at that point either to really explore much when it came to queerness. And so I think my initial real deep dive into it was when I was a sophomore. At that point, I had also had like a lot of mental health struggles my sophomore year. It was the first year that I went to the university counseling center, and I just kind of went there and I was experiencing like struggling with a lot of like disassociation, and so I went there to get some help. And my therapist basically explained to me that, you know, after 19 years of um, basically feeling not safe, right? Of being in a state of stress within my house and my family, my body finally like relaxed. Finally was like, oh, like we're somewhere safe, and wanted to like process all of the experiences that we had went through. I had went through. Um, so that was why I was feeling such intense emotions, because my body was like finally sort of sorting itself out, and recognizing that I was in a safe space to do so. Do I really wear jeans? No, but am I gonna fake it? Potentially. Maybe. It's possible. Oh, those are cute. I don't really wear shorts a lot though, so I think I'm gonna go with these. Um, so my sophomore year of college, finally got some mental health assistance, because anybody who's in the US knows. I mean, obviously, state by state, it might be like a little bit different, but anyone who's in the US probably knows that like the counseling centers at the high school level, not very good. At least in my experience. Where am I? I wear a lot of these types of sandals. I also like to wear some Vans, so maybe I could wear I have Vans downloaded too. Listens attentively. Thank you, Milam. The counseling centers in the U.S. in the high school level, in my experience, weren't that good. I remember going there once. My teacher, mentor, who I like really leaned on a lot during these challenging experiences, kept like, telling me like, hey, like gently trying to tell me like, I love being here for you, but I'm also not a therapist. I'm not a counselor. I'm just a teacher. And so I'm here to be supportive of you, but I also think that it would benefit you to seek out some additional support from someone who's a little more capable. And since she kept saying it, I was finally like, okay, I'll try it. And when I went in, I just felt I was afraid of this. Sometimes the rings, I wanted to put them on, but sometimes they clash with the CC eyelashes, unfortunately. If you can't tell, The Sims is a game with a lot of little bugs, especially if you mod it. Trying to gain access to therapy while in high school is also incredibly difficult if the reason you need therapy is your parents with parental permission and all of that. True. I also, was, going to, the school counselor, so it wasn't even, proper therapy, right? It was, it was something, but it wasn't what an actual therapist would give you. Should we go for the gay nails? Why not? Oh, I think it could be a vibe. These are too long though. Do they have a short version? I like my nails really short. My parents continually stressed that there was nothing wrong, which was untrue. Oh yeah, there's a short version. Excellent. Yeah, I think parents want to have such they don't want to feel that sense of guilt as if they've done something wrong. And it's perhaps you have done something wrong, right? That, first of all, just taking accountability for the fact that you might not be a perfect parent, and not being defensive is helpful. But also, in addition to that, a child can have mental health struggles that have nothing to do with your parenting. So being dismissive of their needs for something like therapy is just it's gut-wrenching, it just really, I hope we can unlearn some of that in the future. there was a lot of shame on mental health in my family. Like, what if someone found out if you were in therapy kind of nonsense? Yes. No, that makes sense. I mean, it's not good, but it makes sense as to when you describe it. I'm like, okay, yeah, been there, done that. Oh, I get what you're saying. Okay, this is a cute little. I feel like I love the red lipstick because I do wear red lipstick a lot, but I don't think I'd wear it with this outfit, so I'm gonna mess with it a little more. Too dark. Why are they all so dark? Oh yeah, that's good. That's nice. Yeah. I don't think it ever even crossed my mind to go to like real, like proper therapy because we were low income, so we barely went to like the doctor. So the conceptual idea of even like asking about something like therapy that would cost money wasn't really on my mind. What are these eyelashes? What the heck? Okay, those have to go. Yeah. I don't know, you just had me thinking why I never asked. I did try to get my family to go to like family therapy, or like my parents to go to therapy because they both had so many issues with addiction and clearly their own issues with mental health that they had no semblance of understanding of mental health either. So I was like, can y'all just like, could you please? But they just like really wouldn't do it. I'm not sure. We never really talked about why that was or what that might have come from per se, but it was a hard no every time I tried to push for that concept. So that never really like put me in the mind space to ask for it myself, never did anything. I also started my mental health journey in college, and I don't know, I think I hate, like, I'm sure some of the folks hanging out with us today are maybe in high school, and like, just, if you're in a position where people are denying you access to mental health services in high school, like, I'm so sorry. Like, we should be allowed to explore, like, our mental health struggles, like, not just after a college age. Like, that doesn't, you're still a person with a brain in high school, so it doesn't make sense to me, but it is so true for so many people at the same time, so but yeah, I think before I slide into telling you all about my college journey and how I finally did come out and what that looked like for me and how my labels changed and everything, I'm going to take a quick little stretch break. It's also super hot in here, so I'm just going to take a little break, and I will see you all in just like 2 or 3 minutes, and we will continue our cozy chats. If you also need to, make sure you stretch, eat, take your meds if you need to, drink some water, etc., and I will catch you in a moment. All right, I am back. Thank you all for hanging out while I was taking a little break. I don't know if any other folks with chronic pain who are summer folks experience this, but I personally use a heat pack on me like basically all of the time while I'm sitting in my chair. It makes me a lot more comfortable and a lot more easy to able to stream for longer. But obviously now that it's 75, 80 degrees, having a heat pack on you is like, I'm like sweaty and hot and gross. So I just sensory wise, needed a little moment to go stand in my freezer, stick my face in my freezer and just chill for a second, because I could felt my little brain going on like sensory overload status. So I'm sorry to hear, Cole, that you had like a very similar experience to what Toasty and I were talking about when it comes to therapy. I'm glad for folks to know they're not alone, but it's also hard to know that like so many of us went without what we needed due to stigma and stuff. But therapy in college, even though it was subpar, I think, compared to like what I really fully needed, it was still very helpful. And I think once I got into a safer spot to be able to explore my mental health, that definitely opened up a lot of brain space that I hadn't had that whole time to explore queerness, to really dive into what I'd been curious about for some time, obviously. So I wound up getting very involved. I went from very much zero to hero, in which I went from, oh, I love this, maybe a little sweater moment. Could be very cute. I'm just taking a peek at my other options before I formalize my decision. I do like this sweater a lot too. Actually, I wear this one a lot on like sim cells and stuff, but maybe I'll do something a little bit different this time and go for the floral one. It opened up the brain space, so I started getting involved with my queer resource center. I actually became an intern at my queer resource center on campus. Bless you, Toasty. My therapist has a lot of personal stuff come up lately that made her cancel a lot of my appointments, and I don't think I've seen her since early March. Oh, Kenna, that must be tough. Like, you know, you want to respect, obviously, that she also probably struggles with her own mental health stuff and needs that space, you know, because therapists are people too, but it's definitely hard to go without the support that you're used to getting as well. And so I got involved with my queer resource center, and then in the timeline all like kind of mushes in my head, but at like my sophomore year of college, on coming out day, on National Coming Out Day, I decided, okay, I'm gonna make the Facebook post, right? I'm gonna make the coming out Facebook post, and I actually went back and read it today, and it made me very soft. I will actually share it with you, because I think it's just very interesting to see how far I've come. Like, even some of the stuff I say in here is no longer accurate to me today, but I think it's still very cool. This was like, yeah. All right, so I'll just read it. I said, here you go with some more vulnerability. Seems to be a theme in my life at the moment. Happy National Coming Out Day days to those who can and cannot be openly visible as an LGBTQIA+ individual. I can tell you from personal experience, it's the little nervous hey, you don't need to call me out. You're just going to make me more nervous. I can tell you from personal experience, it's a scary political moment to be discovering your redacted swear words queer. And I don't even have it nearly as bad as other people with intersectional identities and completely unsupportive families, etc., that put their lives in danger if they are out. But my coming out journey has been slow, anticlimactic, and nothing like the story you usually hear, despite it being quite common. I didn't come out once, I come out every day. Sometimes it's a moment of courage and vulnerability with someone. Sometimes it's a casual mention of something relatively gay to feel out the safety of the situation, and sometimes it comes out as frustration against misguided microaggressions, and it happens every day, multiple times a day. Yesterday it was a quick, non-specific description of myself, including the word queer. But I'm ready to live my truth regardless of the consequences. I am queer. Many rainbow heart emojis. More specifically, and I started going into my identity, which is not completely how I identify now, but I was a baby queer, and this was what I had figured out at this point. I said more specifically, I'm pansexual, and I'm also demisexual and graysexual, which are both identities under the asexual spectrum. Lastly, the scariest to put into words for me right now is I am navigating a period of questioning my gender. I think it's entirely possible in the near future I will be using the label non-binary, but I'm not quite ready yet. Spoiler alert, I do use it now. That being said, if you would like to be supportive, please be mindful of the heteronormative comments you might make on accident. The impact is still harmful, even if the intention is not malicious. I prefer to be referred to as my nickname B. It's no longer a nickname, it's just my name. I'm comfortable with she, her, hers pronouns and they, them, theirs pronouns. I don't use she, her, her pronouns anymore. At this time, I prefer the latter, but it's still something I'm navigating. Please be patient with myself as I discover myself, and I'll try to be patient with you if you make mistakes. I'm in a period of a lot of change. My energy is shifting and growing brighter. That being said, I must protect it. If you do not think you can be supportive, please don't enter my space until that has changed, or until you're at least willing to try. And then I also wrote, I'm also taking applications from cute gals and non-binary pals who would like to go on a date during this cuddle season, y'all. So that was my coming out. But the funny thing is that I still blocked my parents, and I blocked my grandparents and like all of my immediate family from seeing that post. So I like came out, but I also like didn't come out to everybody, because I still just like wasn't sure what to expect from them, and I just wasn't ready. But I was ready with everyone else, so I just decided this is what I was gonna do, which was very, very nerve-wracking. So cute and so well-spoken. I mean, I was an English major, so writing is definitely in my foray. So that was pretty cool. And from there, I really dived headfirst. I was still figuring out gender, and I was exploring a lot of gender stuff via queer content creators. So sometimes I think to myself, this trajectory of me becoming a queer content creator is so random. And so like I could have never predicted this. And then I remember how much time I spent on queer YouTube growing up, and I'm like, never mind. It wasn't random at all. I've clearly been passionate in exploring this for a really long time. I've got like this tickle on my nose. I don't know if it's a nervous tickle, but it won't go away, and it's driving me bonkers today. So I had come out, and I was exploring my gender identity, and I was spending so much time watching queer YouTube videos at the time. And the most impactful one for me that still sits in my head today, that I'm sure many of you, if you watched any queer YouTube, saw, because it got 13 million views. It's such a contradiction, because it's the most beautiful video I think they made, and also one that was so impactful, and it was also the video that unfortunately drove this queer creator off the internet, off of making content. But it was Ash Hardell's coming out as non-binary video, where they recorded themselves calling their mom and telling their mom that they were non-binary and that they wanted top surgery. And they wanted their mom's help after top surgery, so they needed to tell them. And I think I had never seen a non-binary coming out story at that point, especially not one that like really resonated with me and my identity and how I was feeling and the way that I communicate. Like, I just really felt like that could easily have been me having that conversation. I felt very affected by it because the way that Ash communicates and the way that they perceive the world, at least as much as I can tell through the parasocial like lens of watching their videos, is very similar to me. They grew up in Minnesota. I'm also from that area, and so it impacted me a lot, and I wound up coming out as non-binary. I don't remember if I ever made a follow-up Facebook post or anything. I think by the time that I was sort of more confident in my non-binary identity, I wasn't really on Facebook as much anymore. So I'm not sure if I did much in terms of posting about that, or if I just kind of lumped it all in with the queerness that was already happening. But by the time that I graduated from college, I was already well on my way. I had to take these tags off so I can see all the options. By the time that I was graduating, I was already very invested in the queer community. I was a part of a lot of activism on my campus. I went to Syracuse University, and Syracuse has like a really known problematic history. Thank you for the hydrate, Kenna. They were like on national news for a lot of really terrible things during my time at college and the time immediately after I graduated. And so I was involved in all of that, and got very invested in queer justice. I also started identifying as disabled around this same time, which really impacted the way that I understood my queerness. I took queer studies courses and started integrating, queer theory into the things that I was researching as an educator, or as a future educator. And all of a sudden, all of the things from high school started to make sense, right? All the puzzle pieces were coming together. Like, little things like me making little queer Sims made sense. And every boyfriend I had ever had in high school coming out as gay later made sense. And I was like, okay. All of these things coming together. Wait, what are you talking about? Puzzles. Why are you saying that for? And so I found my place. I got more comfortable in who I was, and by the time that I graduated with lavender stoles, which is, at our university we had something called lavender graduation. I'm not sure if other people had that. It was like the queer graduation ceremony. I don't know if that's a US thing or not. It says, I'm Googling it because Lavender graduation is an annual ceremony conducted on numerous campuses to honor lesbian, gay, bisexual, trans, queer, and ally. I don't know why it says ally, because allies don't come to, unless you're like a guest for a queer student, but to acknowledge their achievements and contributions to the university. The Lavender graduation ceremony was created by Dr. Ronnie Sandlow, a Jewish lesbian who was denied the opportunity to attend graduation because her biological children, the graduations of her biological children, because of her sexual orientation. It was through this experience that she came to understand the pain felt by her students. So the first Lavender graduation was at the University of Michigan. I'm trying to figure out if there's a reason, particularly culturally, that it's like lavender or not, but lavender. I mean, I know that there's the history of lavender in the LGBTQ history in general, but I wasn't sure if there was like something specific for why they were using it in the university, but I don't think so. I've been listening and getting emotional while I try to write. Our stories are so similar, sending so much love. Lilith, I'm so sorry I'm interrupting your writing flow, but I'm glad that you feel like you resonate with some of the stuff that I'm saying. But I attended Lavender graduation. I had made many queer friends in college. And I graduated with lavender cords. I also graduated with the rainbow cords, which were specific for folks who, like students who worked at the resource center. We got rainbow ones as well. And I still hadn't come out to my parents when graduation had come around, in the sense of like sitting them down and being like, this is the what. And so it was interesting. Coming to graduation, they were going to come to New York. They were going to come sit for my ceremony, and I had my graduation cap and gown, propped up on my closet door, with my stoles, with because I also had like the rainbow satin thingy that it looks like a tie, essentially. I don't know why I can't think of the word, but I think that is the stole, and then the cords. Yeah, okay. I think purple flowers are tied into a lot of sapphic and lesbian history. I'm not 100% sure about lavender specifically, but I know violets were a symbol for lesbians, but lavender is cute though, so maybe that's why. I thought I remember someone saying in college something about it being related to like being able to have queer cords without people knowing, right? Because if you have like rainbow cords and you're not out, that's a little more obvious, versus the lavender cord is like not as telling if you wanted to wear your lavender cord to the main graduation ceremony as well. So I think perhaps that is also part of it, or it has become part of it, or that person just made that up and I don't know, but it has that effect anyway, so I guess it works out even if that was not like the purpose. Gay but low-key, exactly. I think they wanted it to be accessible to folks who perhaps are queer but not totally out yet as well. So I think if it wasn't the purpose, it has had that an unintended effect in a good way. I feel like all these eyeshadows are so intense, and I wear like very chill eyeshadows, so I'm just kind of like, maybe I'll just go without, perhaps. Maybe eyeliner. I wish I wore that good of eyeliner, but it is my sim self, so it can be an idealistic situation instead of a perfect match. You would think they figured it out. I don't really know. I think they know that I'm queer, but I don't think they understand anything beyond that. And I wish that I was in a position to... I wish they wanted to understand, but I don't think that they do. I mean, I also had shirts from working in the resource center that literally said, like, queer resistance is beautiful. I'm also like, I need a shrimp check here. I'm, like, lounged out. That my mom would, like, wash and fold, so she's, like, clearly seen my engagement with the community. So I think she has to have some semblance of an idea. But there was... are very expensive, so they're a celebration on how special and wonderful queer people are. I love how cute all the little ideas about why it might be lavender graduation that y'all are coming up with are. They're perfect. Oh, the little blushies I think are gone. I need to fix that. But I hadn't told my parents when the graduation time came around. And I never did. I've never sat my parents down and been like, I'm queer, which is kind of the story you see. That was even the story that I saw with like Ash and stuff. It just never felt right. It very much felt like, I don't exercise, but I guess I'll put together an exercise outfit. Just disabled things. As if I exercise, I wind up hurting myself, so I don't, but I'll put together like maybe an outfit I would wear if I was exercising. But I never, something about it felt weird. Like I didn't feel like I should have to do this big thing. You know, cis straight folks were never, you were a pro. I played JV soccer for 2 years. I was not a pro player. And that was before I was as broken as I am now, you goof. I never felt like cishet people never had to sit their parents down and be like, I'm straight. So something about like having to sit my parents down and tell them like, I'm gay felt like very weird. Like I'm all for folks if that's what you need, if that makes you feel more comfortable, to like sit down and really have that proper conversation. I could understand why, because definitely just kind of leaving things up in the air feels a little weird as well. But I don't know. I felt like I would get asked invasive questions. I felt like they would say things that would hurt my feelings, and that it was just easier to protect myself from having to deal with the thoughts of those conversations. Eyeballs. Not you asking me in this public format so that if I have to say no, then I look like a meanie bobini for not letting you get boba. I would think we want to save that kind of thing for this weekend, huh? Or tomorrow when we have the whole day off. Perhaps. I think that's a cute exercise outfit. I feel like I would put my hair up, but I don't know if there's going to be any updos that have this same bangs that would like not look like it's like a completely different haircut. Are there any at all? I guess maybe that. No, so different. Just kidding. I was hopeful for a second, and now I'm like, No, I don't think so. I don't think so, unfortunately. So, we're doing it down. I mean, the world knows about my unfortunate boba run this weekend. Toasty did go get us a smoothie and boba and then tripped on the stairs and fell. And then it sprayed everywhere. You passed it on the right-hand side. Okay, let me try one more time. The right side. This one? No. This one? Down more. Okay, I'm peeking. Also a pony. Okay. stream delay is so hard for this kind of stuff in The Sims. Oh. That's... no. Maybe? You hovered over it for a second? Oh boy. Oh, the chaos. I don't think any of these look that close to the other hairstyle, so I'm gonna stick with the regular, I suppose. Excuse me while I hit backspace a million times, because that's the easiest way. The only one that I was kind of like maybe is this one, but it's like multicolored. So then it like changes the color of the hair, unfortunately, so that's alright. It is much long, that too, as well. That is also true. Where was I? Where was I with things? So queer graduation happened, and I actually did this really little like reflective series on my Instagram about how I was feeling post-grad, and I went back and looked at that today as well. I was reflecting a lot on what I wanted to share with you all. Thank you, Kenna, I appreciate you. And I thought it was a very interesting insight for you all as to how I was feeling post-graduation. So there's a photo of me in my stole, in my cap and gown, and I wrote, "Nearly every decision I have made in my life was tinged with a need to survive. Achieving in high school, picking a university, succeeding at said university. At Syracuse, I had the opportunity to take some counseling and social work courses, and in those courses, I studied the psychology of children of alcoholics and learned so much about the cycles of intergenerational trauma of addiction. And these studies told me that there was normalcy to what I felt, and yet I wanted so badly to break the cycle that it made my skin crawl. People didn't always understand. There was a constant pressure from friends to lighten up. It's just one drink. Get out of the library. And these people meant well, but they didn't understand that there was a little girl. I don't identify as a girl anymore, but there's a little girl who never learned how to play, that learned that one drink could turn into a lifetime, that their entire self-worth was wrapped up in academic success because that was the only way that they survived. And as I prepared for graduation, panic formed, a lump in my throat, and I choked out my fears that I wasn't ready to my therapist, and I spent weeks with her trying to wrap my head around how I would survive. I was returning to a life as a new person I had worked hard to build over the last 4 years, and the construction of that new person felt fragile and breakable by the people I knew I was going home to who would know just the right button to push. And I'm still not sure what's next for me, but me and my therapist decided that's a good thing for now. I get to float and forage ahead based on what feels right. And I just kept writing basically about how I wasn't sure I felt ready, which is not as relevant to the story. Kenna, that's fine. Thank you. I appreciate that. I feel like I feel like my makeup looks cute today, but my hair is floofy and sweaty and struggling in the heat. But I appreciate the compliment nonetheless. So like, because I hadn't come out to my parents yet, going home felt so tumultuous. It felt so daunting. Because all of a sudden I felt like I had to put myself back in the closet, kind of. Not completely, because like I said, I wore queer shirts, I there was some, I don't know how much, but some semblance of understanding of my parents that I was queer. So it's not like I had to completely, but I couldn't, it wasn't like I could be myself either. And then you add all the complexities of them still being addicts, and in fact, I think getting worse while I was in college because I wasn't there, so they had no real motivation to be better. And I was going to have to live with them. And that was terrifying. I felt like all of the confidence and strength that I had developed was just going to fall out the window as soon as I got home, because the way interacting with my parents just is built on so much trauma that they say like one thing and it's like it's triggering to the experiences that I've had with them in the past. And so even though with other people who might say that same thing, I might have patience, but with them it was so hard to have that patience because they'd really hurt me over and over again. Oh no, what are those? What is this outfit? No thank you, actually. Nar. And I need to take the rings off because they're making my eyelashes go weird, and I've been given a nose ring that what is happening? No thank you. Let's try this again. I completely understand that I'm not out to my parents yet either, and it's really hard to put pieces of yourself into a box and hide it. Yeah, exactly. Like the pieces of myself is such a great way to describe it, actually, because it wasn't my whole self I had to put back in a box, but I had to put pieces back, and I had to compartmentalize parts of my identity. And it really didn't help that my parents, over the course of my college career, had fallen trapped to like sort of, politically, without like getting too deeply into politics, but it does play a part in my coming out story. Politically, my parents had become significantly more conservative during the time that I was in college, mostly because my dad did, and we lived in rural northern Wisconsin, and so the only news he was getting was very, biased news, and my mom is not interested in politics, so anything my dad says she just kind of takes as facts. So that made me even more anxious coming home, and feeling like more parts of myself needed to be put away, because I had not only become openly queer, openly disabled, I had become openly an activist, openly interested in progressive values and things like that. And so it felt like that part of me also needed to be put away sometimes too. So it just was a very rough, 9 months to a year, I think I lived at home. Oh, this is a cute little sweater. I like the little gay sweater. It was really hard. It was not easy. It was exactly how I expected it to be. My anxiety tells me lots of fake things. There are many, many times where what my anxiety tells me does not really wind up being true. But in this moment, it was very true. I came home. I remember literally at one point storming out of my house and walking to, yes, Facebook as well, yes. Also true. And yet I get yelled at for getting my news off of Twitter, so I don't know. I remember storming out of my house. I remember calling the one person I knew in my one of the only people I still knew in my old town, and asking if I could stay with them, and they had to say no, which was understandable but so hard to hear, because I just wanted to escape so badly. But I hadn't secured a job yet. This is the beginning of the panini, so a lot of the job market was already pretty rough. and I had a summer job, so I didn't really start job hunting until the fall. So that was incredibly difficult period of my time, period of my life that I went through, and eventually I came out on the other side, and I got my own place, and I was still close to where my parents were, but I had that protection of I should look at this. I haven't really looked at the full body outfits actually. I finally had that protection of my own space. And I was working in higher education, and anybody who works in higher education knows that there's a lot of Karens in higher education is the best way I can describe it to someone who doesn't work there, except it's less of a Karen and more of like a Barbara. And that distinction is just in that, in my mind, like a Barbara is someone who Karen maybe has no progressive ideals, doesn't care, and doesn't want to hear what you have to say and just wants to fight, right? But Barbara thinks she's progressive, but when you actually work through any of the nitty-gritty of details of things, when it comes to their actual interactions with the way that they want to deal with education and support students, I know the glitching is because I use CC, and also partially because there's just Sims clothes that are broken, and sometimes the results are very funny. I'll show you one that's sometimes there's certain ones that are so broken because you don't have like the mesh for it, and it will do something real goofy. Look, it's so terrifying. It's horrible. But like cleaning out your CC is like hard, so I just like leave it. Comprehend a similar feeling seeing my mom and aunt more frequently after my first year of college, and while they label themselves as a Democrat, they have some very right influenced thoughts. Yeah, that's Barbara. There's definitely a distinction between Karens or Barbaras, especially in higher ed. I'm glad somebody understands. Like, I'm trying to, like, help you visualize the type of humans I was dealing with in the working environment. And so it wasn't, things were not 100%. But I was queer at my place of work. I did use they, them pronouns. I felt very passionately because my students, many of them were queer, many of them were trans and non-binary. I felt it was really important for them to see an openly queer person out in the world, working a professional job, having business cards that say they, them, and it was worth it, I think. But it was not easy. And because we were in a pandemic, slowly but surely things started to shut down as well, which resulted ultimately in me not really being able to find a queer community within my hometown, because there's queer people everywhere, right? So I knew, like, I didn't know them, but I knew there were other queer people. But we were in a pandemic, and I was, disabled, and I was getting testing done at the hospital, and I was like not in a place to go to like queer gatherings. So that is basically the origin story, not only of Queerlybee, but also of Bee on Twitch, because I started seeking out that community care that I had in university through online spaces. That's cute. I think I'll wear that. I like that. And little overalls with the cute little dress style. I like it, Picasso. So I that was how I wound up on Twitch, and then That was where I made most of my friends. That's where I met my partner, who is also in chat, Toasty, who is also queer and non-binary, and it was so nice. Not my first queer relationship, but my first long-term queer relationship. Now we live together. They're sitting right over there. You all can't see them in the frame, but they're over there doing their work and hanging out with us today. Hi, Halos. Oh yes. I was feeling so squishy that I got an It Gets Better stream raid. That was so sweet. Thank you for the happy birthday. It's actually early birthday because my birthday's on Friday, but I appreciate it still. Nonetheless, and since being on Twitch as an openly queer creator, fostering a queer community, being surrounded again for the second time other than in college by queer folks on a majority of my time, I was able to explore even more of my identity, and I, as I talked about in my last stream, got fully confident in being non-binary, using they them pronouns, and actually came out as a non-binary lesbian. For a long time I identified as pansexual, but it never felt quite right. It was always the best fit, essentially, but it wasn't 100% correct. And neither is lesbian, but it felt better. It felt more me. It felt like I wasn't following what people's expectations were of me, I guess is the best way I can describe it. Ree came out as lesbian, yes, but not to, like, my family and stuff. Just to, like, the streaming realm, to, like, the queer community that I had fostered, to, you know, my friends and things like that. Because at that point, I'm at a point now, I think I felt very emotional. I felt almost teared up when I told you, like, how scared I was that my parents were coming to my graduation and I was wearing all this queer stuff for university graduation, and I had never come out to them. I am very much at a point with them now that, like, I don't ever desire to sit them down and be like, I am queer and this is what that means. I think protecting my peace is much more important at this point in my life. I don't know if that's the age that brings me that wisdom. I say as I'm 24, turning on 25. But I don't want to have that conversation with them. I don't think they've earned it. I forget my real word surroundings aren't. Oh, it's starring it out for me, so I'm not sure what your message says. Would you like to see the message? Yeah, hold on, sorry. I'm gonna see if I can get Twitch to stop blocking your message, but it's being weird. Please, Twitch, behave. I surround myself with an online community of queerness. I don't know what that word is, but I also have surrounded myself in a very queer online community, slowly but surely trying to convince all of our lovely queer friends to move to Chicago so we can also have this lovely in-person queer community. But we have fostered an environment where I get to be queer every day on the internet. I get to be queer every day with my partner. I get to walk around Chicago, hold their hand, give them a kiss. For the most part, I am very lucky to live in this area where I feel pretty safe to be out and about in public as queer humans. Obviously, there's always a risk, but it feels pretty good as of right now to do so. And then with my parents, one day my partner, I just set my relationship status to dating my partner, and oh, this is cute. obviously my partner and I look very visibly queer in all of our photos. So if my parents somehow, if they were deep in the depths of denial somehow, they definitely had to have figured it out now, because this is it. This is my swimsuit. That's so cute. I would like someone to recreate this for me in person, please. Thank you. We've been dating for a year, so not quite yet. Although we make jokes about getting married because I don't have health insurance and Toasty does. But we haven't done it. So as of right now, no, not quite. But I do live a very queer lifestyle now. And my parents have not met Toasty yet, and they very much would like to. And I am nervous. It's interesting because my parents have clearly been in a bit of denial about my queerness to some degree for a long time. I say that because my pronouns have been in my Facebook bio for years. Almost, probably at least 5 years now. Whenever I came out as non-binary, 4 or 5 years. My parents, I started referring to my partner, obviously, and they use they, them pronouns. So when I was talking about them, I would use they, them pronouns. And then my mom, one day, I was back home because my grandpa wasn't doing well. And I was back home for the first time since dating Toasty. And my mom goes, why do you always call them they, them? Or something like that. I was like, The denial's really showing through here in the fact that I have been using they, them pronouns for years. They've been in my bio for years, and you've never noticed. And then I start dating a partner who uses they, them pronouns, and you instantaneously, magically notice these pronouns. I'm like, Interesting. The denial is strong. So we will be, as I said in that Facebook post, I knew I was missing something. I stopped putting my glasses on the rest of these variations. I hate how in The Sims they don't have like locking features, so you can like have the same thing on every single variation of the Sim. I was like, something looks wrong, and I'm like, I see now what it is. So as I said in the Facebook post, my coming out is something that happens every day, and that is also going to wind up being true up until now, because when I go see my parents for the first time, now that I'm living with my partner and we have a whole life together, we're going to be renegotiating coming out again, basically. So it's going to be interesting. You actually said we were married in the first 3 months of dating. I don't know why you feel the incessant need to expose me like this. You're correct, though. I do. You all probably wouldn't know because I always wear my glasses on stream, but I am very bad at wearing my glasses in person, in part because their prescription is outdated, so they like help but also hurt, so it's kind of like but you are right. Also, sensory wise, glasses, not a vibe at all. But yes, all in all, that was my coming out journeys. I kept trying to make tweets about like, I was gonna talk about my like coming out journey, and I was like, well, I guess it's like journeys, because I've come out many times. I've come out as, pansexual. I've come out as ace. I've come out as non-binary. I've come out as lesbian. And None of them have been easy, but all of them have been beautiful in a very like kind of bittersweet kind of way. Like, I am very grateful to be connected to my community. I'm very grateful for community care, but I am, not grateful for the challenge of everything else. I have to choose between glasses or noise canceling headphones or sensory things, never both. That is the bane of my existence. Now, I will say, all things considered, compared to other headphones I've had, these are pretty good for not like squishing my glasses into my head. And I have thin metal frames, so compared to like thick boy plastic frames, I think these press a little bit less as well. But it's hair plus glasses plus headphones plus any other sensory experience like heat that I'm having right now. It is so much to deal with for my brain. I definitely find myself surrounding with online people who love me for who I am, rather than feeling like I'm forcing certain people in my life to love me for who I am. Yeah. I mean, is that not the beauty of online spaces, right? Like, there's no reason, there's really no reason that we no longer have to believe that, like, our relationships have to be people within, like, a close radius to where we live. Now we can have friendships all across the world with people who way better understand us, which has been one of the most lovely experiences of my life. It has changed my life. I entered the streaming realm very much not with the intention of becoming a full-time content creator in any sense. However, speaking of the Barbaras of the world, I quickly realized how exhausting higher education can be, because it is this perpetual struggle of being in a space of people who think they're accepting, who think they're knowledgeable about marginalized experiences, but who haven't explored any learning past their college experience 10 plus years ago. And aren't, obviously, I'm not talking about marginalized higher education staff, right? But, like, I'm talking about folks who aren't marginalized, who think that they get it, but they definitely don't get it because they haven't continued to learn this whole time and don't have any intention of learning. Because I remember being in the office that I was in, the staff, the director of the program, I'd known for a long time, and so I had great respect for her, but it was so evident. It was a three-person office. It was me as a openly queer, non-binary, disabled human, and also fat as well was a big part of my experience in that particular working environment. And then it was my only other colleague in the space other than the director was a Black woman. And so it was so evident in that space that me and my colleague, I'm just going to give her a name because it's hard to like not use a name, Sarah, we would go to opportunities provided at the university to learn more, even though for the most part when we would go to these opportunities, both of us already knew a lot of that stuff because we've lived through it, and we both explored it on our own as well, but we always took up the opportunity for the potential to learn more. And our director would never come. She was the one person in our office who didn't have a marginalized identity other than being a woman. She wouldn't come, and then she would ask us to basically relay the information to her. And we would be like, at some point we were just like, we are, because we respect you, because we have a relationship with you, we are willing to teach you things. We are willing to help you understand things at a deeper level, particularly so that you can be a better support system for our students. But you have to come do the work and do the one-on-one. Come to the session, listen to the basics, and then when we come back to the office, because she had this like perpetual fear of feeling like feeling like she wasn't smart. Sorry that took me so long to get out because I'm trying to work on my ableist language, so my first words that were coming to mind weren't the words I wanted to say. She had a history growing up where she didn't know how to read for a really long time, like way later than is typically considered like socially acceptable in terms of when you're supposed to learn to read as a kid. And it created this big fear in her that she would go to something like a session like that and then ask a question and then be kind of like made fun of or thought to be like not smart in her position, because she obviously had a position of authority and whatnot. So we were like, we get that, we respect that, we can understand where you're coming from, but we're still not gonna go to a session and then come back and teach you all the things. Like, come to the session, listen, and if you're too scared to ask questions in an environment where you're not sure what the response will be, come ask us the questions then. But don't just skip out on the session and then leave us to figure it out, you know? So we wound up being... higher ed wound up being quite an exhausting environment to be in as a professional, even more so potentially I think than environments where you obviously know those types of conversations aren't going to be able to be brought up, because it was this constant negotiation of, do I mask this part of myself, do I hide this part of myself, or is it safe to be, and it was constantly like, be who you want to be. But then when any presentation of mental illness, queerness, disability, neurodivergence would actually come up in action, then people didn't like it. So it was like a very lose-lose situation, and I was like, I'm gonna go do this content creator thing. It is much more physically accessible for me as my physical health deteriorates, and much more accessible to me as a neurodivergent person, and I can surround myself with other lovely queer humans, other lovely disabled neurodivergent humans, and not have to deal with as much of this. I obviously live in the world, so I have to deal with some of it, but it can be less. I can choose to protect my peace and have it be less, which I am grateful that I have circumstances that it's not easy and it's not perfect, but it's tough. A huge thing for me has been having conversations like this. It helps me so much to be able to talk to people who have experienced some of the things that I am going through. Yes, no, for real. I'm very much grateful for being a part of the It Gets Better program and being a ambassador for exactly that reason, because it gives me this curated, lovely space to have these conversations that help me feel less alone, and I hope that they help others feel less alone as well. It's something that I do very naturally on my channel as well, just because it's stuff that I care about. It's stuff that comes up in my day-to-day life, but there is something really nice and special about coming here and like having these specific topics we're going to talk about in relation to queerness and exploration, that you all know what you're getting into and get to share with me about yourself and what you've gone through that's similar or different than what I've gone through, and it's really special. And I think if any of you are queer content creators who are listening in and you ever doubt the impact you have, let me just remind you that like your sheer existence on the internet as someone who folks can see themselves in, just having fun, even if you're not having these deep conversations, impacts people. It's impacted me, other queer content creators, just existing, having queer joy to see day to day, is seeing queer folks play games and talk about it in a queer way, talk about potential queer relationships we see. Like, that's why I play The Sims now. Like, y'all are seeing me build my Sim self, right? That's how I used to play when I was a kid, because I was exploring myself a lot. Now, as a creator, as someone who plays this game all the time, I use it to play challenges. I use it to explore my queer identity. But not only that anymore. Now I want to tell queer stories. So we do legacy challenges and the 100 Baby Challenge, and we do all of this, and we do it in a very casually queer way, because, you know, even still to this day, when you watch Let's Plays and stuff on YouTube, there is queer representation, but there could always be more, right? It could always be better and more inclusive and telling these narratives. And so I absolutely adore working on the internet. All of the struggles aside, I absolutely adore working on the internet and being able to curate a safe space where we can talk about all of these things in more serious times and more casual times as well. And I'm glad that I'm very glad to hear that you all also quite enjoy having these kinds of chats. I actively avoided mental illness talk at work. I knew it was going to be terrible. Our inclusivity talk consisted of everyone agreeing that guys is a gender neutral term, but I couldn't bring myself to speak up against it. It's such a hard space to be in. Haunted, where, like, you know something's wrong and you want to speak up, but, like, you feel like you're the only one, you know? There was definitely moments where I felt like that in higher education. I was grateful that I had Sarah, my colleague, which is not her actual name, but because we both came from marginalized backgrounds, and because we were quite close, you know, I'm not just, like, going up to any marginalized person and being like, we're connected now because we're marginalized, but she and I were quite close, which made it a lot easier to have someone there that, like, post-meeting, we could both go to each other and be like, so you were weirded out by that too, right? Like, that sat wrong, right? Because it sat very wrong for me, which was refreshing and very helpful. I'm just finishing up a few little finishing touches on stuff I realize I missed going through each of the outfits. Yeah, I think this one. Yeah, cute. The glasses are MIA again. Yeah, for that outfit I had to put them back on. Cute. Cute. I like it. I like it, Picasso. Ooh, what am I gonna put for my aspiration as we wrap up here? I'm definitely a big fan of the family ones. There's some cute wellness ones as well. Maybe I'll do that. I've done the family ones a lot, so it might be fun to have something a little bit different. And that's a newer aspiration, so I don't think I've tried that one. Let's see. Definitely a maker. Probably perfectionist. Let's be honest. Best representation of my neurodivergence, at least in that you can get in The Sims, since they're a little bit mental health avoidant. And then probably family oriented, because even though I didn't do the family aspiration, I still want it that way. And then I don't really want to put my actual last name, so what do we want to put here? I'll just put Simself, it's fine. Let me upload them to the gallery, because they're heckin' cute and I want to make sure they save. but I probably won't put them in this actual world because, I don't want, like my sim self to be randomly walking around in my Not So Berry challenge. Yeah, the gendered options in The Sims are, they're better than a lot of other games, but they definitely still need work. But I am happy to hear that they're working on pronouns, so we should be able to have they, them pronouns in The Sims soon, and other pronouns. Actually, one of our other ambassadors from this segment, one of my friends, Momo Misfortune, was the one who like started the advocacy for the pronouns in The Sims and got that campaign going, and they listened, and Momo got to be on like a Sims stream and everything. It was all very cool, and I was very proud of them, and hopefully y'all will get to, I'm sure they'll talk about that some experience some on their streams, so I won't steal their thunder. But sorry, I went to the wrong screen. I wanted to say goodbye before I do stream ending, but it is time for us to wrap up today. I am really grateful for all of you hanging out with me. I hope that even though I was sharing my story, that it resonated with some of you, even if your story was different. I hope maybe it was a gentle call to action, to be reflective, to appreciate your journey as a queer human along the way, as you have came out and continue to come out depending on your circumstances, or even if you never do. You know, that self-reflection is so important. So I appreciate you. Thank you so much for the birthday wishes. I'm excited. I don't have any, I'm taking the next 2 days off to relax, and then I have a big 10-hour celebration stream on Friday, so I'm very excited. The vibes are very good, and some friend time as well. So I appreciate all of you who shared today or listened and just like relaxed and lurked in the background as well. Let me see if any of the other It Gets Better ambassadors are live or not. If they are not, then we will just wrap up. But if they are, then we can pass on the love, the queer energy, the good chats, etc. Team. I'm taking a peek. Oh yeah, there are 2 ambassadors live. And you know what? We were just talking about Momo, who is doing Queer Sim stuff right now. So why don't we pass it along to them, since I was just giving them some hype and love moments ago. So if one of our mods wants to do the ! raid, so we can get that raid message for this channel going, and then let me just find my way to where I need to do the buttons, all of the buttons, in order to initiate the raid really quick. Oh, I need to find the little thing I need to click. When we do these streams, I have so many little things popped out, so sometimes I'm like, where's the thing that I need? Thank you all for your patience. I appreciate you. Here we go. I got it. All right, and let me grab this raid message myself so I can come along as well. I hope you all have a wonderful, wonderful rest of your Tuesday. I hope you get some rest and some time to just do something that brings you joy. That's all. That's all. All right, the raid is going. Thank you all so much once again. I'm sorry Donuts is anti-stream today, so we got lots of Donuts tent, but maybe he'll pop by next time, the grumpy old lad. And I'll see you all on the raid. I'll see you all for next stream as well. Bye, friends.